Saints, I could not pass up this opportunity to greet you in the name of the Lord and also to encourage you. 2022, can you believe there's what? 4 days left. And this year will be gone. It'll be history. Adios. Goodbye. And then we welcome in a new year, 2023. I know that as the new year approaches, people are thinking about New Year's resolutions and how the year is going to be different. Listen, all those things belong to the Lord. I'm going to talk about it more on Saturday. But for today, I wanted to encourage you. Philippians chapter 3. Paul says this in verse 13. Brethren, don't you know that we are brothers and sisters in Christ? He doesn't say here community. No, he says brethren. Brothers and sisters in Christ. I do not count myself to have apprehended, but one thing I do. Now here's our verse. Forgetting those things which are behind and reaching forward to those things which are ahead. One thing Paul does, he tells us in Philippians. Not a whole bunch of things, not many things, no muchas cosas, no, just one thing he does. Forgetting those things that are behind. Saints, listen, 2022 is going to be history in just a matter of days, a few days. Forgetting those things that are behind. Do you know that there are some people that are living back in 1976? Other people are living back in 1989. Something happened to them, or they did something horrible. They can't forgive themselves, and they're living in the past, right? Living way, way in the past. Sometimes I've talked to people, and listen, I'm not minimizing anybody's hurt. I'm not trying to be insensitive in that way, but I want you to understand something. We all go through difficult times. I've been through many difficult times, different types of difficulties. For me, the worst year I've ever lived, 2017. That was going to be 6 years ago. Bad year. Really bad year. I could live back there. I could live in 2017. I could live 6 years ago and still be thinking about it and regretting things and feeling bad about things. Or I could be in anger, I could be in so much bitterness, and so much things can occupy my heart because people really, really, really hurt me. I could be there. I could easily be there. It's a very simple thing to do. That's where I could live. Now, one thing happens here when the Lord brings you through a difficulty, there's blessing on the other side. There's always going to be blessing on the other side. God works all things together for the good to those that love him. So there's always going to be blessing on the other side. Now, the blessing may not be something tangible. It may not be the person coming back to you. It may not be a relationship restored. It may not be the outcome that you wanted. But here's one thing. If you're a child of the Lord, here's one guaranteed blessing on the other side is you will be closer to the Lord. Guaranteed. I am closer to the Lord because of 2017. Much closer. The fellowship is deeper. The sense of the Lord. There are things there were things in my heart that the Lord, when he took us through and took not just me, my family, but took us through a difficult situation, there are things that he did in our hearts that could not be done any other way. And I'm very truly thankful. It was painful as all get out, but I'm really truly thankful. And maybe you can relate. I'm sure, listen, I know that you can relate. There's hurtful things in your past that you either grew through or you got bitter through. I've experienced both. The Lord, here's what he does. When he takes you out of that bitter river, he places you into the river of blessing, right? So there's two rivers that run in your life. There's going to be the bitter waters and the sweet waters. Two rivers, listen to me, two rivers. And over here, things are going to happen that you're not going to like. Trials and hardships, disease, loss of family members, abuse, all kinds of terrible things happen. And that happens, and it's unfortunate. Again, I'm not minimizing anybody's hurt or pain. But this is part of life sometimes where people are just nasty. Or there's things that you do, like I said, that you regret and that are very painful when you bring them to your memory. These are the bitter waters. But the Lord has sweet waters. And when he takes you from the bitter water and he places you in the river of his sweet blessings, you have to be careful because now you're in this river. And what happens, look closely, what happens is if you go back to the bitter river and then you go back to the sweet river, the river of blessings, you see what's happening? You're contaminating the river of blessing that he has you in because you're bringing the past into what the Lord has now for you, into the river of blessing. Saints, listen to me. This is important because what happens is if you traffic in the river of bitterness and some hurtful experience in the past, and they're real, I get it. I understand, trust me. If you traffic over there, what happens is then you poison the river of blessing that the Lord has put you in. Do you see what I'm saying? Because over here there's bitterness and something happened, but then you bring that over to here and you contaminate the river of blessing that the Lord has put you in. The Lord has put us in a river of sheer blessing. Oh my goodness, we are so blessed. I don't want to go back to 2017. For you, it may be 2013 or 1999. Maybe this year was the worst year you've ever lived. Maybe you say, hey, PJ, you know what? This year, 2022 is the absolute worst year of my life. I lost someone so dear to me, a child, an opportunity. So many things can happen. And you say 2022 was a beast. If it weren't for the Lord, I wouldn't have made it. Let's look at Paul for one moment. Paul says, forgetting those things that are behind. Things, plural. Think with me for a minute. Paul, the apostle. He hadn't always been Paul the apostle. No, there was a time where Paul was Saul of Tarsus. He was a Pharisee. And he was the number one public enemy of Christianity. And he got to such a low point in his life where he was persecuting even women. I'm talking women. You know you've gotten to a whole level of low where you take it down to women. Okay? I'm talking mothers, I'm talking sisters, I'm talking grandmothers. Okay? You're now attacking women guilty of murder, dragging men and women, Christians, to prison. Can you think of the things that guy must have had in his mind of the things that he did? The church didn't even trust him. It took Barnabas. I mean, he was in hiding. You know, the church was thinking, this guy, do you know who he is? Do you know what he's done? He's a believer? No, he's looking to infiltrate. He's an imposter. He's looking to find out where we're hiding so he can wreak havoc. He wasn't even trusted as a Christian. Even after he became a Christian, Barnabas had to be the bridge between him and the church. How many people he hurt, how many families he destroyed, how the enemy would have loved to torment that man with his past and what he did. And you know what? There never would have been a Paul the Apostle because that period, that season in his time that was so horrible, he would have lived in that season for the rest of his life, regretting all the hurt that he caused the church. But Paul the Apostle says this, forgetting those things that are behind. Listen, saints, please listen to me. As we go into 2023, forgetting those things that are behind. What happened in the past, happened in the past. Whatever happened in 2022, guess what? In 4 days or whatever it is, it's going to be over. We're into a new year. Am I asking you to make New Year's resolutions? Of course not. Simply, what I'm asking you to consider is this. But one thing I do, one thing easy. Forgetting those things which are behind and reaching forward to those things which are ahead, I press toward the goal for the prize of the upward call of God in Christ Jesus. Saints, there it is. One thing I do, forgetting those things that are behind. Whatever happened in 2022, whatever happened in 2017, whatever happened in 1999, we can't traffic in the river of the hurt that we caused or the hurt that was put upon us. We can't be there anymore. No, saints, listen, don't traffic in those waters. Live in the water of blessing that the Lord has put you in, that sweet river of blessings, and leave the bitter waters. Don't traffic in both rivers. 2023, forgetting those things that are behind. All right? Listen, Lord willing, I will see you on Saturday, and I have a real special message for you as we enter into the new year. I hope that you tune in either on this channel or you come and be with us in person. May the Lord richly bless you this week as you walk with him.